let's have a look at some word problems now that target imperial units of volume. So let's start with the first question here. It says a tissue box is 5 inches wide, 9 inches long, and 3 inches high. What is the volume in cubic inches? So they specifically said they wanted in cubic inches. So my advice is that whenever you encounter a question that gives you dimensions but no diagram, my advice is that you draw a diagram yourself. Make sure that you have a visual before you get started. So I'm going to draw this tissue box, and it's going to look something like this. It doesn't have to be a perfect drawing like that. Now it's 5 inches wide, so this is 5 inches, 9 inches long, this is 9 inches, and this is 3 inches high. Here we go. So this is a rectangular prism. So have a look at your formula sheet, the last page of your formula sheet, and you should have the formulas for volume of a rectangular prism or a box. And the formula should be length multiplied by width multiplied by height. Now, the first thing you want to check for before you start multiplying things is, are my units consistent? Are they the same? And the answer here is yes, they're all in inches. If one of them was, say, in feet, you would have to convert it to inches. Okay, so now I'm going to replace the values that I know. So length is 9 inches, here it is. Width is 5 inches, here it is. And height is 3 inches. Here we go. And now we multiply all of these together. So we're going to go 9 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 3, and that gives me 135 cubic inches. Now the question asks to leave the answer in cubic inches, so I know that I am done, and this is my final answer here. This is the volume of the tissue box. Now question B says, what is this volume in cubic feet? So that means I need to take my volume in cubic inches and convert it to a value in cubic feet. So this is a straight up conversion, just like we did in the previous video. So we start by writing down the fact that relates inches and feet. So this is the conversion fact for length. Okay. Then we ask ourselves, how does 12 become 1? Well, we divide by 12. So here we're going to divide by 12 3 times. And remember to do this step by step. So in the corner here, I'm going to show my work. So 135 divided by 12 is equal to 11.25. Take that and then divide it by 12. That gives me 0.9375. Take that and divide it by 12, and it's going to be a tiny, tiny number. And that's okay. So it's 0.078125. So I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth. The question should tell you what to round to. So I'm going to take 2 decimal places. So this is 0.08 cubic feet. And I'm going to highlight that answer. Okay. Now I did show you a different method in the last video, and I will show you the other method here as well. You can go 135 divided by, in brackets, 12 times 12 times 12. Okay, so this is just another option. And when you do that, you will end up with the same answer, which is 0.078 blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that concludes our first word problem. Let's have a look at the second one. So here we have Riley is using his grandfather's wheelbarrow to move topsoil to a garden. The wheelbarrow holds 2.5 cubic feet of soil. How many cubic yards can Riley take in 28 loads? Give your answer to the nearest tenth or 1 decimal place. So let's go through this question again to just understand what they're asking us to do. So we have a wheelbarrow. I'm going to attempt to draw one. Okay, this is a wheelbarrow. Okay. Okay. And this wheelbarrow holds 2.5 cubic feet of soil. Okay. Now, we have 28 loads of them. So this times 28, right? We have another wheelbarrow that has 2.5 cubic feet, and then another one, and then another one. We have 28 of them. Okay. We want to know the total amount of soil that Riley will carry. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we know that each wheelbarrow has 2.5 cubic feet. right? And we have 28 of them. So it's a matter of multiplying. 2.5 times 28, that gives us 70. What are the units? Cubic feet, because that's what we started with. So we have in total 70 cubic feet of soil. But the question says they want that number in cubic yards. Not a problem. We're just going to take this number and convert it to cubic yards. And we know how to do that. So 70 cubic feet equals how many cubic yards? Well, what's the fact that compares feet and yards to one another? We know that 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. And I get that from the formula sheet. Okay? How do I go from here to here? I divide by 3. Well, for my volume problem, I'm going to divide by 3 times. Okay, and remember to do that step by step. So 70 divided by 3, that gives us 23.3 repeating. Then take that number and divide by 3. That gives us 7.7 repeating. Take that number, divide it by 3. And that gives us 2.592, and so on. It says round to 1 decimal place, so this is where we're going to stop. But we're going to round it up to 2.6. I have a video that reviews how to round, so if you'd like to watch that, I encourage you to. So, what's the final answer? Riley will carry 2.6 cubic yards of soil. And we should write that down in a summary sentence at the bottom. So, Riley will carry about 2.6 cubic yards of topsoil. Perfect. Okay, now let's do our last example here, I believe. So Matt is delivering 32 cubic yards of cement to a construction site. His cement truck can hold 216 cubic feet of cement. So right away, before I even continue, notice how the units are different. Okay? All right, let's continue. How many trips will he need to make? So let's visualize this, okay? This is the total amount of cement that Matt has to deliver. 32 cubic yards, okay? And he's going to do several loads. This is his truck, okay? And his truck can only take 216 cubic feet, okay? So how many loads back and forth will he have? How many trips, not loads. How many trips will he have to make? So this is the total, and this is the amount per trip. Or you can say the amount per group. And I use the word group intentionally because that helps clue us into what operation to use. Now, I'm going to pause this example. So please put it on the side for a minute. I'm going to give you a similar question to help you rationalize through this one, but I'm going to give you one with similar numbers, with easier numbers, I should say, not similar numbers. So let's say I have 10 cubic yards of cement, and the truck can only take 2 at a time. How many trips will I make? Well, let's do this step by step. Okay, 1 trip, we have 2. Second trip, that's 2. Third trip, 2. So far I have 2, 2, 2, that's 6. Next trip, 2, now I have 8. Next trip is 2, now I have 10. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 trips. How do I get 5? How do I get that number 5 from 10 and 2? What operation do I use? Okay, well, the answer to that question is division. Okay, because what I'm doing is I'm taking a total and I'm splitting it into equal groups. That is basically the definition of division, right? So what we're going to do here in our example, let me just erase this, is we're going to take the total, which is 32 yards, and we're going to divide it by 216 cubic feet, because each trip is going to be 216 cubic feet, 216 cubic feet until we run out, okay? So we have to divide them. So let me set that up. So it's going to be 32 cubic yards divided by 216 cubic feet. But before we get too excited and start plugging things into our calculator, we need to check if our units are the same, and they are not the same. So I can't divide them right now. I have to make sure that the units are equal. Okay, so what do I convert? Do I convert this to cubic feet or this to cubic yards? The answer is it doesn't matter, because the answer is going to be the number of trips. So I'm just going to go with this one, and I'm going to convert the cubic yards into cubic feet. Okay, so 32 cubic yards equals how many cubic feet? Well, I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. And to go from here to here, I multiply by 3. So here I'm going to multiply by 3 times. So 32 times 3 times 3 times 3 gives me 864 cubic feet. So this number here is equal to 864 cubic feet. Okay, and then everything else is the same. And now I can divide them. So 864 divided by 216 gives me 4. So what's our conclusion? Matt will make 4 trips. And that's it. Okay, now what if you converted the cubic feet to yards and then divided? You should get the same answer. You should get 4. Okay, and that is it for imperial units of volume. Please do some practice questions before attempting your assignment questions.